It was the mid-1990s, and for Tracy, life was good. But just 6 months after moving from Connecticut to Colorado, Tracy, a single pediatric nurse in her mid-20s, was dealt a devastating blow. She was diagnosed with a primary malignant brain tumor.
I did research because I'm a nurse. I wanted to know how long one might live with that. And I opened one book. I went to the library, medical library, and saw 90% of people die in the first year.
She knew it was a death sentence. Now, 10 years earlier, another young woman received the same news, not for herself, but for her husband. He too had a primary brain tumor of the most malignant form. He died 24 months later.
When he was diagnosed with this, I met a lot of other patients in his support group, and I just decided, you know, somebody has to do something about this, and this is the way I could contribute. My laboratory is concentrated on the study of T cells. They're a type of immune cell that normally do immune surveillance in the body. So they're always trafficking through tissue looking for something that they don't like.
And so began the remarkable journey of Dr. Carol Cruz, a cancer researcher. This is a story of how the lives of these two women would intersect at just the right miraculous moment. And so in 1995, Tracy and 5 other patients diagnosed with primary brain tumors entered into a pilot study for this new type of immune therapy.
It's like being an exclusive group. And it's an exclusive group of people who are dying, but they might get help.
Tracy and the others had already tried and failed the entire standard care of treatment involving surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy.
Their prognosis was very poor. At that point in time, it's a choice between hospice care or entry into an experimental protocol, such as the one that we offered.
Always an optimist, Tracy entered into the trials with a great sense of hope. By then, she had met her future husband, John. She was ready to fight to stay alive.
So out of the 6 that were treated, 3 of them actually did quite well. And 1 made it 40 months from the time of entry into the immune therapy protocol out before he died, and 2 others are alive today.
Alive today, 16 years later, with no sign of the cancer. Tracy and John say they feel as though she has cheated death.
Sorry, I get emotional.
And who could blame him? He has a wife he has adored for 15 years, and together they share something they say is simply priceless. Brian, their 6-year-old son. Now, you might think this is the end of the story, a treatment that appeared to work. But in science and medicine, it simply isn't that simple. More research, more clinical trials had to be done, and on a larger scale.
A 15-year survival for this disease is really unusual.
Another expert in immune therapy of brain tumors was close by, Dr. Linda Liao, a neurosurgeon at UCLA Medical Center.
As a neurosurgeon, we can take out the big bulk of the tumor, but unfortunately this tumor always comes back. And the reason we think it comes back is that there are these microscopic cells left behind that we don't see, we can't take out surgically, radiation and chemo doesn't necessarily get to. But perhaps these T cells, these immune cells, can go in and track them down, just like your immune system would, kill a bacteria or a virus.
Dr. Liao's own mother died of brain cancer.
It's actually a major reason, if not the major reason, why I do what I do. And these are young people in their 40s and 50s who all of a sudden one day discover they have this tumor, and it, as you can imagine, changes their entire life when you're given a sentence of 2 years to live.
Despite the pilot study's encouraging results, standard funding through the National Institutes of Health was difficult to obtain for several reasons. Because primary brain tumors impact only around 20,000 U.S. adults each year, the expense associated with clinical for this subset of patients is not deemed to be cost-effective. Just when it appeared that these brilliant researchers had reached a dead end and would have to abandon their clinical study, a private philanthropist stepped in to underwrite the first year of Dr. Cruz's Phase 1 clinical trials.
And I just want him to know there will be so many people saved that he'll never know their names.
The donor gift enabled Dr. Cruz and Dr. Liao to reinstate their clinical trial work planned on a larger group of individuals with this deadly form of cancer.
It's very hard telling a patient and his family that you have a terminal disease.
But if we can buy that patient some good quality survival time, it's worth it.
Thank you for your willingness to try. Thank you for your faith in each tomorrow. Thank you for the hope that will not die.
For Dr. Carol Cruz and her colleagues, it has always been about saving lives.
I would just say thank you to anyone that can help contribute to this cause, because, just look at what I have.
Tracy and John and Brian are living proof that miracles can happen.
Thank you for all that you have given. Because of what you've given, I am here.